Hi everybody, I'm Segun Oyeni. I'm the Creative Director of Graphics NG and I welcome you to this course on graphic design. So today we'll be learning about the basics and the fundamentals of graphic design, and I'll be giving you a breakdown of the core design tools, which are Photoshop, Illustrator and InDesign. So let's begin and let's dive into the course. So let me kick off by trying to explain what graphic design is. So to explain what graphic design is, I'm going to break down that into two words, graphic and design. So what is graphic? Graphic is a process, is art and visualization. So that's what I'm saying is that graphic is basically what you visualize to represent something. And design has elements to it such as line, form, space, typography, color, shape, and texture. So now, line is basically just, we all know what a line is. A line is a linear mark made by a pen or a brush, that's a simple line. And a shape is an area of geometry, such as a rectangle, a circle, or a triangle. Direction is like this. All lines and shapes have direction, whether it's horizontal or vertical. So that's what direction or form is. Let me not confuse it with direction or form. And size is basically just the size of the shape or the line. Texture is the surface quality of a shape. That's basically what texture is. We see texture everywhere. Like my shirt has a particular texture, this has a texture, the table has a texture. Texture is just what is on the surface of a shape. Then color is light reflected of an object. We all know what color is and different types of color. We know our primary colors and our secondary colors. We know colors red, blue, green, purple, color. That is basically what graphics is. So now design is basically the formation of something, like how you want something to be, like the skeletal form you want a graphic or anything to be. That's how design is. Everything basically has a design. The human body has a design. How you are built has a design. A design that you have two eyes, a head, a hand. That's how design is. And now design also has its own principles, such as balance, proximity, alignment, repetition, contrast, and space. So now in design, all designs must have balance. It's basically like when you see something, you know that everything is there for a purpose and it's there to accomplish something or represent something. That is balance. So everything in design must have balance. And how you have balance in your design shows how good of a designer you are. So the next thing is proximity. Proximity creates relationship between elements. It provides a focal point. Proximity doesn't mean that the elements have to be placed together. It means they should be visually connected in some way. Do you get what that means? It's basically just saying that your elements have to have a sort of connection, or they have to have some kind of distance between them which serves a relevant purpose towards the design. Alignment is how all the things in your design are aligned, how they are placed and how they are placed between each other. It's basically like, let's say you are trying to design something and you wanted everything to be on a horizontal line like this, and they're all aligned. There's no one that is coming out of space. There's no one that is out of there. And usually in designs, we have margins in our designs, which are like negative spaces there, which creates an easier way to view the design. So I'm guessing that's how alignment should be described. Now there's repetition. Repetition in design is basically when you see things come up several times, which creates this kind of like familiarity with the design. So in most designs, there's usually a repetition. It could be a repetition of color, it could be a repetition of shape, it could be a repetition of their forms. So repetition just kind of creates this familiarity with your design. Then contrast. Contrast is like how things don't like blend together. Like you obviously wouldn't put white text on a white background. You want to put like a black text on a white background, or you want to put like a black text on a yellow background. Things that contrast each other creates an easier way to view your things. Or you can even have contrast in your typography, in your text. Like, let's say you could have a text that was extremely bold. You have another text that was light. If you see the bold font, you know that that bold one is the main focus of the design, and the light one is the subtext of the design. So if you have contrast in your text, it also creates a better form of visualization for your designs. And then there's space. Space, as I talked before, like when you have margins, that creates a negative space. Your designs have to have spaces in between them because it helps with the simplicity of the design. It helps people know that, it helps people like read your designs better. It helps people like not feel like your design is clustered. So having space in your design just, it helps better appropriate the visualization of your design. All right, so now when you put the elements of design, when you put the elements of graphics and the principles of design together, you get graphic design. So now let me give you a definition of graphic design. Graphic design is the visual representation of something. It could be a visual representation of a product, it could be a visual representation of a company, it could be the visual representation of a brand. So graphic design is basically how you just represent something to someone or to a group of people. All right, so moving on, we want to talk to you about the benefits of being a graphic designer. Now, what exactly do you benefit from being a graphic designer? From my personal experience, I can say that being a graphic designer is just a very fun experience. You get to be creative, you get to use your imagination all the time. Sorry. And as new jobs come, you find new ways to represent those things. So it's a really fun and exciting thing. It's not very technical. It's something that you have to rely on your own perception of the job that you are given to perform. So let me tell you about things under graphic design that you can learn. You can learn things such as character design, which is basically you knowing how to make characters for an animation, learn how to make animated characters, learn how to rig them, learn how to draw them frame by frame. You could also learn background design. Background design is just making backgrounds in general. The background could be for anything. The background could be for an animation, it could be for a poster, it could be just something you just hang on your wall. That's background design. You could learn how to make posters. Making a poster would be something that requires you to like use all the fundamentals of design that we discussed before, such as like alignments, such as a space, such as contrast. That's basically just creating visual representations of what someone is trying to pass along. That's basically what poster design is. You can also learn 3D design. 3D design is, you know, we all know what 3D is. So in 3D design, you could also go into animation. You could also use it for architecture, and you can use it for like so many things. The possibilities are endless in 3D design. And there's also motion graphic design. Under motion graphic design, you can make a lot of things, a lot of animated things, such as infographics for companies. You can make stuff like logo reviews for companies. You can make intros, like intro videos for companies. I'm sure we've all seen a lot of motion graphics around, and we all know how cool motion graphics can be. It could also help you in video editing. Having a basic understanding of graphic design would really help in your video editing skills. It would just show you how to navigate around your video editing more efficiently and create things that are more aesthetically pleasing to people. Then you could also learn logo design. Logo design is, we all know what logos are. Every company has a logo, or every company should have a logo, from my own opinion. And you could learn how to make logos under graphic design. And making logos is, me personally, I find making logos a very fun thing to do. But that's a whole other topic on its own. Then you could also learn, general branding, such as like making people's letterheads, or as I said, logo, or invoice, or IDs, just learning how to brand companies in general. And there's so much more that you could learn under graphic design. All right. So now, let me tell you jobs you could get in graphic design. Jobs you get on graphic design, you could obviously be a graphic designer for a company. You could be a freelancer, you could work on your own, create your own content, which is actually pretty fun. Or, freelance for companies. That's what you could do. You could be an animator. You could be someone who, as I said, makes characters, or someone who makes backgrounds for an animation studio. You could be a creative director. So, a creative director is somebody who, is a creative director. You direct people's creativity. So having a basic understanding of graphic design would be a good criteria for being a creative director. You could work as a branding expert, As I said before, you could be somebody who helps with their brands, make their letterheads, their invoice, maybe make stuff for their shirts or maybe their mugs or, those things that help, branding an agency, spicing it up, Every company needs to brand at some point. You could also be a social media content creator. I'm sure everyone loves social media, so you could make some really bomb-ass graphics for your social media or for a company's social media. And I'm sure it will pay a pretty good amount. Then and there's much more you could be. But let's not dive into that. I'm sure you see more on the screen after. So now, the tools that we use in graphic design are Photoshop, Illustrator, and InDesign. And right now, I'm going to touch on Photoshop. So now we're going to dive into Photoshop. So what is Photoshop? Okay, Photoshop is a raster graphics editor that's on Windows and Mac. So now I'm pretty sure you guys are wondering what is a raster. So a raster or a bitmap is it's an image that has pixels, and I'm pretty sure you're wondering what are pixels. So pixels are basically like the smallest points in I don't know what word to use. The smallest point on a graphic, I guess. Like everything on your laptop has pixels. So a pixel is like the smallest smallest graphic on your laptop. So that's basically what pixels are. And Photoshop can manipulate the pixels. So basically, Photoshop can basically erase the pixels or coordinate them to anything you want. So basically, if you know how to manipulate the pixels on your screen, you can basically turn it into anything. The possibilities are endless for what you could do with that. So that's what Photoshop is. Photoshop is a raster graphics software. Yeah.